When God allows challenges to enter your life, it's not a sign that He's mad at you, it's a sign that He's maturing you. God never wastes a test. Every trial, every disappointment, every delay, and every heartbreak has a purpose. The purpose is not to destroy you, but to develop you. Tests are not a reflection of God's anger. They are evidence of His trust. When heaven tests you, it's heaven saying, you're ready for more. Think about this. Before a student is promoted, they must take an exam. The test isn't designed to embarrass the student. It's designed to expose what they know and what they've become. The same is true with God. He doesn't test you to show you off to others. He tests you to show you what's inside of you. Because you don't know what kind of faith you have until it's tested. You don't know how strong your obedience is until obedience costs you something. You don't know how real your trust is until God allows everything that makes you comfortable to be shaken. The Bible says in James 1:2, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing that the trying of your faith worketh patience. Notice it doesn't say if you fall into trials, it says when. That means tests are not optional in the life of a believer, they are necessary. God uses testing seasons to prepare you for promotion seasons. And when He allows a test, it's because He's already placed inside you everything you need to pass it. When you were a child, you wanted everything instantly. You wanted to skip the process and get straight to the prize. But God's kingdom doesn't work like that. He doesn't bless immaturity. He develops maturity through process. The test is the process. It's the training ground for destiny. Before David could sit on the throne, he had to face the lion, the bear, and Goliath. Before Joseph could wear the robe of rulership, he had to wear the chains of a prisoner. Before Jesus could carry the crown, he had to carry the cross. Every great elevation in the kingdom comes with examination. Sometimes we look at our difficulties and say, God, why me? But the real question is, God, what are you preparing me for? Because when God tests you, He's giving you a preview of the level you're about to enter. Every test has a prophetic purpose. The greater the test, the greater the testimony. You can't have a testimony without a test. You can't have promotion without preparation. When you're going through a storm, it doesn't mean God left you. It means He trusts you enough to endure what others couldn't handle. He sees strength in you that you haven't even discovered yet. The test is the tool that reveals it. You might feel like you're breaking down, but God is really building you up. You might feel like everything is falling apart, but God is actually bringing everything together. Let's think about Abraham. God promised him a son, but before the promise could manifest fully, God asked him to sacrifice the very son he loved. That wasn't punishment, that was proof. God was proving Abraham's faith, but also showing Abraham that his love for God was greater than his love for the gift. And when Abraham passed the test, God said, now I know that you fear me. Notice that, now I know. In other words, the test revealed something even heaven wanted to confirm. What if the trial you're facing right now is heaven's way of saying, now I know I can trust you with more? What if the delay is not denial, but development? What if the struggle is God's classroom and the pain is the tuition for purpose? You see, God's tests don't come with multiple choice questions. They come with decisions that define your destiny. Will you trust God when you can't trace Him? Will you worship Him when nothing makes sense? Will you keep sowing when you haven't seen a harvest? Will you stay faithful when the door you prayed for is still closed? Those are the real tests. And here's the truth. If you fail a divine test, God doesn't fail you. He just reschedules the exam because He loves you too much to promote you prematurely. A premature promotion can become a permanent prison. God knows when you're ready and He knows what you need to go through to become who you're meant to be. So if you're being tested, don't panic. Rejoice, because heaven doesn't test people who are not next in line for promotion. If you're being tested, it's a sign that your name just came up for elevation. The teacher is always silent during the exam because he's already given you everything you need to pass. Think about gold. It doesn't become pure by sitting in a jewelry box. It becomes pure by going through the fire. The fire doesn't destroy the gold. It removes the impurities that don't belong there. The same with you. The fire you're in is not meant to burn you up, but to burn off what's holding you back. It's refining your character, purifying your motives, and deepening your dependence on God. Some of you are praying, God, use me. And God says, I am, but I can't use you publicly until I test you privately. Before David ever killed Goliath in public, he killed lions and bears in private. Before Joseph ever interpreted Pharaoh's dream, he interpreted the dreams of prisoners. Your private tests qualify you for public trust. God doesn't test to expose weakness. He tests to reveal strength. He tests to show the enemy that you belong to him. Remember Job. The devil said to God, Job only serves you because you bless him. God said, then test him. God trusted Job enough to let him be tested because he already knew Job's faith would outlast the fire. And when Job passed the test, he received double for his trouble. So what if your current test is your job moment? What if God is using your endurance to silence the enemy's accusations? Every time you keep praising through pain, every time you keep trusting through tears, every time you stay faithful through frustration, heaven is saying, that's my child. I can trust them with more. The world says if God loved you, he wouldn't let this happen. But love doesn't mean comfort. It means commitment. God is so committed to your purpose that he will allow pain to shape you. He's so committed to your growth that he will withhold certain blessings until your character can carry them. That's love. That's trust. You're not being punished, you're being prepared, and preparation always comes before promotion. Ask anyone who's ever walked in purpose, they'll tell you their greatest lessons came from their hardest seasons, because it's in the test that you discover who you really are and what God can really do. Maybe right now you're in a season where everything feels uncertain. You're praying but not hearing answers. You're working but not seeing results. You're believing but not seeing breakthrough. Let me remind you, silence doesn't mean absence. Just because God is quiet doesn't mean he's gone. The teacher is silent during the test, but he's still in the room. You might not see it yet, but something is shifting. Every tear, every prayer, every act of obedience is preparing you for something bigger than you can imagine. You're not losing. It's just a lesson in disguise. You're not delayed. You're in divine development. The promotion is coming, but it must meet a prepared vessel. God can't bless what's not built to last. So he's building endurance in you. He's building faith in you. He's building gratitude, patience, humility, and discipline. Because where you're going, talent won't be enough. You'll need tested character. You see, untested faith is unreliable faith. Anybody can shout when life is good, but it takes maturity to worship when life hurts. Anybody can praise when doors open, but true trust is proven when doors stay shut. Your response in the test reveals your readiness for promotion. When you understand that tests are proof of trust, your perspective changes. Instead of asking, why me? You start asking, what's next? Instead of crying about what's leaving, you start thanking God for what's coming. Instead of doubting his plan, you start declaring, if he allowed it, he's going to use it. God is the only one who can take a test and turn it into a testimony. He can take pain and turn it into purpose. He can take a setback and turn it into a setup. And when the test is over, you won't just come out. You'll come out better, wiser, stronger, and more anointed than before. Look back over your life for a moment. Every time you thought it was over, somehow God made a way. Every time you were pushed down, he lifted you up. Every time you faced a closed door, he opened another one. That's because every test you faced was a seed of trust. You passed things you didn't even realize were tests, and now you're standing in a season that was once a prayer. So keep going. Don't quit. Don't misinterpret your testing season as rejection. It's actually selection. God chose you for this test because he knows what he placed inside of you. And when it's all said and done, the same people who questioned you will see the glory God was preparing in you. Every test has an expiration date. The pain won't last forever, but the lessons will. When you pass this test, you'll realize that what you thought was a breakdown was actually a breakthrough in progress. You'll realize that God wasn't trying to destroy you. He was trying to develop you. So, lift your head, strengthen your faith, and declare this. This is not punishment, it's preparation. I'm not being broken, I'm being built. I'm not being delayed, I'm being developed. God trusts me enough to test me, and I trust him enough to let him. Because when God allows a test, he's already written your victory. You're not fighting for the win, you're fighting from it. The test is proof that heaven believes in you. And when you finally walk into your next level, you'll look back and say, every test was worth it. Every trial was training. Every delay was divine. And through it all, God was faithful. So remember this truth for the rest of your life. When God tests you, it's not punishment, it's preparation. And when heaven trusts you enough to test you, get ready because promotion is next.
Sudden change follows silent seasons. When God moves, he often does it suddenly, but never without a process. What feels like silence is actually God setting the stage behind the scenes. There are moments in life when you pray and heaven seems quiet. You ask and there's no answer. You seek, but doors remain closed. You look for signs, yet nothing appears to move. But in those very moments of divine silence, God is working in ways you cannot see. The silence of God is not his absence, it's his strategy. Every sudden breakthrough is birthed out of a long season of preparation. What you think is a delay is actually divine design. God is never late, he's simply thorough. He's aligning the right people, the right opportunities, and the right timing so that when it happens perfectly. You may not see the process, but you'll surely see the result. The invisible hand of God is often at work long before the visible blessing shows up. You see, God does not waste silence. He uses it to refine your character, deepen your faith, and stretch your patience. Silent seasons are sacred seasons. They reveal whether you truly trust God or just the outcome you desire. Because faith isn't proven when everything is clear. Faith is proven when nothing makes sense, yet you keep believing anyway. Think about Joseph. God gave him dreams of greatness, but then came years of silence, betrayal, slavery, prison, disappointment. There were no explanations, no confirmations, just silence. Yet one ordinary morning, after years of being forgotten, Joseph was suddenly summoned from the prison to stand before Pharaoh. And in one conversation, one divine moment, everything changed. What took years of preparation shifted in a single day. That's how God moves. Slowly in the process, suddenly in the performance. We often want the suddenly without the silent season. We want instant results, but God values internal readiness more than external speed. He knows that a blessing given too soon can become a burden. So he allows silence to teach you to depend on him, to mature your perspective, to build endurance within you. He's not punishing you, he's preparing you. When you feel like heaven is quiet, remember that God is still speaking, just not always in words. Sometimes he speaks through closed doors, sometimes he speaks through waiting, sometimes he speaks through stillness, teaching you that his presence is not always loud, but it's always there. Silent seasons teach you to recognize God's whisper instead of only his wonders. Sudden change always comes to those who stay faithful in silence. The people who see God move powerfully are the ones who didn't quit in the process. The waiting season separates those who want miracles from those who are ready for them. It's easy to trust God when things are moving, but can you trust him when everything stands still? Can you keep praising when prayers seem unanswered? Can you keep serving when no one notices? Can you keep sowing when there's no harvest in sight? Because those are the moments that qualify you for the sudden shift. God moves suddenly, but he prepares you slowly. It's like watching the sunrise. For hours, it's dark, and then in a single moment, light breaks forth. You can't predict the exact second it happens, but you know it's coming. That's what faith feels like. You may not know how or when God will move, but you can trust that he will. Silent seasons are not wasted seasons. They are where God builds the foundation for the sudden change that's on the way. If you skip the silence, you'll miss the strength. Silence is where you grow roots deep enough to hold the weight of what's coming. A tree doesn't grow tall by stretching upward first. It grows strong by going downward first. The deeper the roots, the greater the stability. In the same way, your silent season is rooting you in faith so you won't be shaken when your blessing finally arrives. When you're waiting, it's easy to mistake inactivity for idleness. But God's silence is never stillness, it's strategy. He's arranging things beyond your sight. While you're praying for change, he's preparing the people who will be part of your next season. While you're asking for breakthrough, he's building bridges you haven't even seen yet. You're worried about the timing, but God is perfecting the details. The truth is, sudden change requires slow preparation because sudden blessings can crush unprepared hearts. You cannot rush what God is refining. A diamond doesn't form overnight. A masterpiece doesn't get painted in a moment. The longer the preparation, the greater the revelation. God is forming something in you that can handle what he's about to release to you. When you understand that, you stop despising the silent season. You start thanking God for it. You realize that what looks like a pause is actually protection. That delay might be keeping you from destruction. That closed door might be saving you from disappointment. That unanswered prayer might be redirecting you to destiny. There's beauty in the quiet. It's where God strips away distractions so you can hear his voice clearly. It's where he detoxes your soul from people, pressure, and pride. Because before he can trust you with more, he must ensure you can handle less. Before he gives you visibility, he gives you vision. And that vision is forged in silence. Sometimes God hides you before he highlights you. He keeps you behind the scenes until the right moment. And when that moment comes, everything that was once slow suddenly accelerates. It's as if years of waiting collapse into a single opportunity. The job comes through, the relationship aligns, the door opens, the favor flows, and people call it sudden, not realizing you've been preparing in silence all along. That's the mystery of God's timing. You can't predict it, but you can prepare for it. You can stay positioned, stay in prayer, stay faithful, stay expectant, because when the shift happens, it won't be time to get ready. You'll have to already be ready. God's sudden moves don't give warning, they give reward. So don't give up in the waiting. You may feel like nothing's moving, but something's happening in the unseen. The silence is not stillness, it's setup. God is positioning you for a move that will make sense of every tear you cried, every prayer you prayed, and every night you wondered if he was listening. He's not just preparing your blessing, he's preparing you for the blessing. You'll look back one day and realize that the very season you thought broke you actually built you. The silence taught you patience, the waiting built your endurance, and the loneliness developed your intimacy with God. What once felt like emptiness was actually the foundation of your elevation. Sudden change always comes to those who endure the silence. Think of Moses, 40 years in the desert, one encounter with God, and his life shifted forever. Think of Ruth, years of loss and obscurity, one meeting with Boaz, and her destiny changed. Think of Paul, years of rejection and hardship, one vision from heaven, and everything transformed. God doesn't forget those who wait faithfully. He rewards them abundantly. You might be in your silent season right now, wondering when the change will come. It might feel like everyone else is moving forward while you're standing still, but don't let the silence discourage you. Let it strengthen you. Because when God finally moves, it'll be worth every moment of waiting. His timing will redeem the time you thought you lost. God's sudden blessings often show up disguised as ordinary moments. You'll wake up one day and realize everything has shifted. That long-awaited call will come. That door you thought was closed forever will swing open. That vision you carried in your heart will finally become reality. And you'll understand that none of it was random. It was all divine timing. You can't rush what's divine. You can only trust it. Keep doing what you're doing even when no one sees it. Keep believing even when nothing changes. Keep sowing even when there's no visible harvest, because God is faithful, and when he decides to move, he won't take years to do it. He'll do it suddenly. That's why you can't afford to give up now. The silence means the shift is near. The pressure means promotion is close. The uncertainty means preparation is complete. You are closer than you think. The same God who was quiet yesterday is about to speak loudly through your life tomorrow. So stay ready, stay positioned, keep your faith alive. Don't let the silence silence your worship. Don't let the waiting weaken your trust. Every minute of this quiet season has meaning. Every prayer has been heard. Every tear has been seen. God's not done. He's just about to begin. When the shift happens, it'll be sudden. It won't make sense to others. They'll say, "How did it happen so fast?" But you'll know the truth. It didn't happen fast. It happened faithfully. You endured the silence. You trusted the process. You stayed in position. And because of that, God can now release the promise. Remember this, sudden change always follows silent seasons. If God has been quiet, it's not because he's forgotten you. It's because he's preparing a miracle so big that it needs time to be arranged perfectly. When the silence breaks, everything will make sense. You'll see why the wait was worth it, why the doors didn't open sooner, and why God took his time. He moves suddenly, but he prepares you slowly, because he's not just writing a moment, he's writing a masterpiece. And when he finally reveals what he's been working on, you'll understand why it had to take this long. The silence was not empty, it was essential. The waiting was not wasted, it was holy. So hold on, stay in faith, keep your heart ready, because the same God who seemed silent yesterday is about to speak suddenly today. And when he does, your whole life will shift faster than you can imagine.